Hey, what's going on guys, Mike here. Thought I'd bring the vlog outside today to show you guys the old plant pond from last year and talk about what my plans are for this year, since it's almost time to get things set up. So again, this is last year's pond, which I didn't tear down at the end of the year. I was curious to see what would happen to the plants in here over the winter. The plants in here are just dwarf sage, giant sage, and a mixture of Liguigia palustris and Liguigia repens. Here's a picture of the pond at the start of last year, and now a picture of that same pond 4 months later. This pond was in a location that received strong midday and afternoon sun with not much shading at all, and the biggest thing you'll notice here is that the Liguigia did some big things. Now what you can't see is that the dwarf sage and the giant sage, which also grew very well, but both plants ended up sending leaves up through the water column and took on a very different frond morphology and eventually flowered before the Liguigia took over the entire pond. I ended up with so much Liguigia that I took what I needed and then I just let things winter over. So you can see now that even despite, light freezing conditions, the plants in the pond are already starting to come back. I think what I'm going to do is leave this one up for the summer and see what kind of yield I can get out of it. The giant sage you can see here is already coming up out of the water and it's actually already flowered, which is pretty interesting to me. And if you go below the surface here, there is some dwarf sage that's still viable, but it's pretty much completely covered by all the old Liguigia stems and roots and whatnot. So I have this old half wooden circle that's actually from this sort of strange chair. And I also have this netting here that I'm going to use to shade at least one of the ponds, just to do kind of like a lighting experiment. But other than that, my plan is to just set up 2 more ponds, and I'll do some more in-depth videos about them like what I did the first year. Just so you guys can have a better idea of the whole process. Now, it's pretty simple, but I know some of you will be interested in it. I'm definitely going to do some more of the same plants and experiment with a few new ones. But honestly, it's tough to get a lot of different plants to grow in these types of conditions. It's pretty harsh out here, and that's why the shading idea might come in handy and get some different types of plants to grow. But we'll see. Here's another example of just how hardy Liguigia palustris is. Now, some of the stems from the pond ended up into this tub that was basically just a mixture of moist soil and rock from a tank that I took down, and there was no water in here. This was, at the end of the summer, almost the fall, and those stems actually rooted into this moist substrate environment. And then, the fall came. We got rain, and the plant managed to survive, even despite freezing conditions and, sort of in this really strange environment in the tub outside. But you can see now that it's actually growing pretty well, which is pretty cool. So if you're looking for a bulletproof plant, they could probably grow in a toilet. Look no further than Liguigia palustris. So yeah, anyway, that's about it, guys. The 150, unfortunately, is no longer. I'm actually getting my hands on a brand new 125 here probably tomorrow. I'll explain more later in this week about, what's going on with that. And the setup should start this Friday. So I'll be making sure to keep you guys updated and in the loop as far as all that stuff goes. Hey, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video.